President Trump there amid a symphony of hammers and saws, speaking to reporters after giving them a tour of the ballroom construction project there at the White House. He called the ballroom a gift to the country, saying he is on budget and emphasizing the safety requirements for the building. He also spoke about Iran, saying that Iran is begging to make a deal, but that he may have to strike the country again. He said yesterday he was just 1 hour away from making the decision for U.S. forces to start striking Iran again today, before the president decided to call off those attacks to keep negotiating.
Tensions exploded outside the White House as Donald Trump reacted angrily to a new warning issued by Iran. Standing near the rubble and construction equipment surrounding his planned Golden Ballroom project, Trump argued the building could withstand drones and missile attacks and even function as a sniper position during a crisis. The reaction followed reports that Iran may be preparing sustained missile strikes against Gulf energy facilities, ports, refineries, and desalination plants if the United States resumes attacks. Iran's Revolutionary Guard also issued harsh threats toward the UAE, while the Houthis reportedly moved closer to blocking the Bab el-Mandeb Strait and opening another front against U.S. interests. Trump then turned his frustration toward Democrats, accusing them of weakening his negotiating leverage and preventing him from securing a deal with Iran.
It's the Democrats. They're dumb. It's a new name. It's a very accurate name. So I'm in the middle of a negotiation. I'm saying you cannot have a nuclear weapon. And it comes over the wire that the Democrats want to stop Trump from further negotiations. They want to stop Trump from, if he has to, giving them another slap. They want to have a nuclear weapon to blow up the Middle East and to blow up, frankly, the world. It's not going to happen.
A reporter then confronted Trump with a direct question. How long does Iran have to make a deal? Trump gave a scattered response, saying it could happen in a couple of days or sometime in the coming weeks, repeatedly admitting he was uncertain about the timeline.
I mean, I'm saying 2 or 3 days, maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday, something, maybe early next week, a limited period of time. Because we can't let them have a nuclear weapon. If they had a nuclear weapon, they would start with Israel. They would blow it up, and they would blow it up fast, but they'd blow it up. And I'll tell you what, they go after Saudi Arabia, they go after Kuwait, they go after UAE, they go after Qatar, I think they go after the entire Middle East.
According to Trump, officials from Iran and across the Middle East contacted him directly and assured him that a deal was within reach. Mimicking the conversations, Trump said they kept telling him, "Sir, we're going to make the deal happen." In front of the White House construction area, Trump lifted a giant rendering of the future Golden Ballroom, the lavish project some allies want backed by nearly $1 billion in public funding. While presenting the image, he joked about how slim he looked and launched into an awkward comment about his waist being noticed during meetings with Chinese President Xi Jinping.
It's so beautiful. See, I look so thin. They'll say, oh, he's gotten so thin because I'm holding this. You don't have to look at my waist. You can look at this. You saw enough of my waist along with President Xi.
While Putin and Xi Jinping prepared to strengthen ties in China through dozens of formal agreements and discussions about reshaping the global order, Donald Trump was making headlines for an entirely different reason back in Washington. Putin was welcomed by top Chinese leadership, signaling the seriousness of the summit, while Trump stood near the construction site of his ballroom, claiming the roof would become a giant drone empire, capable of defending the nation's capital. The sharp contrast between international diplomacy and Trump's comments sparked intense reactions across political media.
If they won this election, our country would have been... We have now the hottest country anywhere in the world. If they had won the election, our country would have been destroyed. Our country was a dead country 2 years ago, and now we have really the hottest country in the world. And this is the ballroom, and it's going to be something incredible. You see the quality of it. And they go right, those columns go right into the roof. And on top of the roof, we're going to have the greatest drone empire that you've ever seen, and it's going to protect Washington. Thank you all very much.
Mr. President.
We have a little breakfast for you.
Really?
Yeah. Where is your breakfast? I'd have it.
That's
Where is
so
it?
kind of you.
It's right over there. We have a little bit of a breakfast for you. I figured it'd be nice to you, Christian.
A journalist confronted Trump over his shifting Iran narrative, asking how near he really was to ordering military strikes before he allegedly received calls from Middle Eastern countries urging restraint. Trump replied that the attack was 1 hour away from being launched. Trump continued the rant by insisting the ballroom would serve as a shield from aerial attacks. He claimed drones would bounce off the building on impact and repeatedly referred to the project as a drone port, demanding that people understand what he was creating. Then again, our sniper capacity is top-notch for our snipers. This doesn't mean enemy snipers. The enemy snipers are not supposed to be on the roof, only our snipers. This man is paranoid. The missile proofing we have in place and also the drone capacity that is upstairs. All sorts of military capacity, whether I don't like using the term snipers, but we have great sniper capacity. It is done for our snipers. It is not done for the enemy snipers. Our snipers, and because of the height that we achieve, you will have a very clear view all over Washington, D.C. Yes, the president. And then he is like, but look at this. We took parts of the building from different parts of the world. Did you know this part is from Rome? Look at that. That one is from Greece. Play it. Again, this is a building where classical buildings that are made from different parts of the world during very glamorous periods of time. This is from Rome. The Roman people love the rooms that are flat, and the Greeks love what they call the triangles. And you will see that this building has a porch that overlooks Washington, D.C. It has been made in such a manner that it can accommodate military capacity. But the entire roof has been built with military capacity in mind. It is very high. It is higher than almost anything else, and they get a very clear view all over Washington, D.C. And he is saying that, and this is him doing this. He says, this is Greek, or comes out of Greece, facing the Treasury building. This is Rome. Here you have two facades. Play it. So, and they have had many catastrophes with this. And we have this. And if you look at this section of the facade, this is basically Greek, more or less. It comes out of Greece. It is an ultimate facade. It is the ultimate Greek facade. This facade faces the Treasury building. This facade is something different. It is Roman. It faces the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial. So what do you have? Basically two facades. Two entrances. This entrance here, but your primary entrance is through the White House, straight from the White House. Then he talked about the reflecting pool and called it the reflecting lake. And he said, Obama and Biden tried so hard for the reflecting lake. No one can make the reflecting lake like how I can make it. No one can do fountains like how I can do fountains. All in DC here, water fountain. We didn't have any fountain in all of DC. We didn't have one fountain in Washington that works. And they'll be working. Many of them are now working. And, one of the best things, President Biden spent well over $100 million on the reflecting lake between the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument. They spent much more than that. Some people say $200 million. What did they get for their money? They got a closed lake. The lake was never open. When it opened, it closed down. It was leaking, a complete failure. I'm working on the reflecting lake and doing it for a fraction of what they paid. And Donald Trump claims that the reflecting pool or the reflecting lake will be waterproof. Yes, he says it will be waterproof. Yes, the lake will be waterproof. Here, I'm working on it for a fraction of what they paid. And I got so into it you would wonder. I'm upgrading it. I am doing all kinds of walkways out here outside. I'm doing it like a good thing. It is a much bigger job. But you know it is happening now. It will be waterproof. It will reflect again. Ugh. I inherited something that was dirty, filthy, not open, and it was just horrible. But friends of mine who came to the Lincoln and the Washington would say, "Sir, it's disgusting." And I would say, "What's disgusting?" And they're looking at each other, and then the reporter goes, "You know, everything you've done in Iran is so horribly unpopular. Do you ever plan on explaining it to the American people? What? We don't know what you're doing. What's actually happening right now?" And Donald Trump says, "I don't need to explain anything to anybody. I'm getting it done. I don't need to explain anything to Congress. I don't need to explain anything to the American people. I'm focusing on my ballroom. Well, look, everybody keeps telling me it's very unpopular. But I know that, when they realize it's something to do with nuclear weapons, weapons that could destroy Los Angeles, weapons that could very quickly take out major American cities, when they realize that, when I say that it's, when we explain to them, when they understand, I think it's, look, whether they like it or not, whether it's popular or not popular, I'm going to have to get it done. Because I'm not going to let the world blow up on my watch. It will not happen. Now, as I reported earlier this morning, Trump postponed further strikes due in part to warnings from Pentagon officials that Iran had begun adapting to the U.S. air campaign. Recall that I was discussing that over the weekend. The New York Times did their story yesterday. I was discussing all those MQ-9 Reaper drones that were being shot down, that were also detected over Kashmir Island, yes? The New York Times confirmed all that yesterday, that Iranian commanders had studied the flight paths of U.S. fighters and bombers, potentially with Russian assistance, making American operations more predictable and increasing the effectiveness of Iran's air defense system. And they cite the downing of an F-15E and damage to an F-35 aircraft as evidence of rising risks to U.S. planes. Now, when Donald Trump reacts to that, what he does is he extends again the exemption for sanctions against Russian oil. Of course, you help the enemy whenever it's helping you kill Americans and attacking America. Why don't you give them some more help? That's the plan of Donald Trump. Now, and in front of his little ballroom here, he says, "I paid for everything out of my pocket. This is my gift to you. You paid for nothing. Now you want taxpayers to pay $1 billion for this gift. You don't do it that way. So this was paid for completely out of my own pocket. And this is a gift. This is a gift, and we are not going to make taxpayers pay for it in any way." Meanwhile, while Donald Trump was doing whatever the hell that was, the top NATO commander in Europe, General Alexis Grinkovich of the United States, he is speaking about removing American troops from removing our committed troops to NATO in Poland and Germany. Here's what he has to say. Emily, consistent with President Trump's recent statements, it'll be around 5,000 troops coming out of Europe. As I noted in my opening remarks, a good number of those come from the Armored Brigade Combat Team that's returning. And the U.S. has already declared that the earlier plan about deploying Long-Range Fires Battalion is going to be curtailed, and this will not be implemented. Well, there are some other changes also coming that are still being planned. And there is also some addition, as well as some subtraction for another few hundred troops. And we can discuss those things in detail a little bit later on. But in terms of the total number of troops, it's going to be 5,000 troops. And so in the morning today, well, we did not have to know the story, but we know this to be true, that Government Accountability Office, in their recent audit of the first year of the Trump regime, revealed that fraud, abuse, and waste actually rose by 13%. Although Elon Musk, as well as Doge, say that they would cut $1 trillion from the budget, we have the Government Accountability Office and MarketWatch also confirming this. That is what they reported. And that is what the Government Accountability Office had reported. And so the federal waste was around $153 billion, a rise of about 13% year over year. And when it comes to such kind of a project, it's only obvious. Alcatraz Alligator closed after just 1 year of wastage of $1 billion to house 1,400 immigrants, which works out to a whopping $714,000 per immigrant that was incarcerated in such a facility. But the military-industrial complex made money from this deal. And as you know right now, the 30-year Treasury note yield stands at 5.18%. This is the highest level since July of 2007. High Treasury yields are unsustainable, all right? They are unsustainable. The increase in our debt at this point is just skyrocketing. The Treasury is going to have to take some emergency measures in the next little while. I believe they already are behind the scenes. And then here's another thing that I want to leave you guys with, which is basically, again, as I said before, everything with this Trump regime is a lie. You might remember that incident where 2 U.S. KC-135 Stratotankers crashed over Iraq on March 12th, killing 6. Pentagon stated that this happened in friendly skies, and there was no hostile fire in the region. But as it turns out initially, the intelligence reports indicated that there was Iranian-backed militia anti-aircraft fire in the region, and that's why they had taken evasive action, and that led to this crash. Not that they had just crashed in friendly skies into each other, but again, military leaders under the Trump regime are now lying about everything. Reported in Atlantic this morning. All right, thanks everybody for watching. Subscribe, let's hit 7 million